Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Silver, and today on the show I have Leslie Harden, really a franchise expert here on the show. Leslie, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Dylan. Super excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Let's start off at the top. How did you get into the franchise space?
It's funny that looking back at it, pure coincidental. I was, graduate out of college thinking, how can I put myself involved in a business that involves my passion, which is art, and of course, entrepreneurship. And so right out of college, I decided to build an art studio for children, ages 3 to 17, and kind of became one studio, turned into two, turned into three, turned into five, and it became a franchise shortly after that. Replicable concept where we can, manage from different, state lines, and that's really how I got myself involved. I had no clue what I was getting myself into. Very hard, very expensive, but I learned a lot. And so, fast forward 12 years later, I'm still in the industry, just doing a little bit of a different role now.
So franchising, and we talk about this being applicable to, restaurants. Of course, when people think of franchise, that may be the first thing that people think about. But here you have an art studio, and it was spurred by a passion for art. I believe you said you studied art. And so from there, you open up a business. Did you know when you opened up that business that the exit strategy was going to be franchising?
Not at all, not whatsoever. They were corporate locations, owned by myself, and in fact, I believe the actual way that it happened, one of the parents of the students that we had there was, I guess, involved in franchising and had suggested, this would be a great concept if you could have it in. In Texas or in California or places where we would need more of these services. And they were kind of the person that kind of introduced me to those individuals that were in the business or in that ecosystem and exposed me to it. So it was definitely a word of mouth thing. I would have never thought in a million years, hey, let's turn this into a franchise. Like I said, lots of moving parts, lots of learning curves, and the support that you would want to bring to a successful franchise is so needed for it to thrive and grow effectively and efficiently. And so learning all that right out of college was a challenge. But we found our way to sell the concept, I believe it within the 7-year mark. And then after that, I just became involved in the corporate side of franchising through other brands.
Are you
So
still involved in the other business at all?
no, I sold it and that was that. Yeah.
Okay, so you have an exit, you franchise, have an exit. This is like a lifelong achievement for most people. You did this really several years out of school. Walk us through getting the network of people to franchise your business. What were those early discussions like? And then, what's the moving pieces here? I'm thinking attorneys. I'm thinking having to get educated yourself on what all this means. Of course, you have the background from maybe school, but there's a lot of business acumen that you don't necessarily pick up in a textbook.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everything that I learned was trial and error and my own like hands, like sleeves up, roll up your sleeves and do it yourself kind of thing. So I learned obviously with industry attorneys that reached out to us through those connections from those parents that I mentioned to you earlier. There's a whole sort of process that goes with the development of a franchise. So you have to have obviously an attorney. You have to have maybe people that are going to help you create the operational manuals, everything related to from opening the door, turning that key to how you conduct a class or how do you put a lesson plan together. I mean, all those things have to be documented. So a lot of it was my own sort of I would say creation of instructions or processes, and then having a company that would kind of revise those processes and polish them even more until you have a finalized finished product. So anyone with pretty much any basic education can follow the system and follow the steps into conducting that session or that class from A to Z. So think of it like, having a manual to or a recipe to create the perfect cake so that everyone can have the same exact flavor in the end. And that's exactly what I had to do from scratch with the help of professionals. And of course, once all of that was all put together nicely and packaged, then we proceeded with the attorney and kind of getting the franchise registered, your trademarks and the FDD. Do you want to sell in California where it requires more paperwork, and then having access to that professional advisor, guiding you every step of the way. So it was a lot for a 24-year-old. I think that was intense.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So you're 24 years old. You're now speaking with attorneys, going through the franchising process. This is really some impressive stuff. Who were the people in your life that you were bouncing these ideas off of, or did you have partners in the art studio who were able to kind of help you navigate these waters?
So honestly, it was all myself and my business partner at the time. We were just researching two young individuals, not really, I mean, passionate about helping people, yes, passionate about education, sure, but entirely in the dark about what was the next thing we needed to do to make this actually work on paper, right? So a lot of it was going to trade shows or events that were related to franchise development, international franchise shows, and then just really connecting and networking with the individuals in those fields or in that ecosystem that then pointed me in the right direction. Hey, I know this great person or this great broker that might help you, get some momentum in your brand and exposure. Or, hey, I know this amazing, person in franchise development that can help you in XYZ area of your business. So there was just so much, I would say, value in all these events that we would attend to try to get ourselves involved in educating ourselves in this brand new world that we had no knowledge about. And that's really how we learned, or how I personally learned what I know today, through events, networking, and just talking to industry experts in the
Networking
field.
for me, Leslie, has been everything. It's been huge. If I could have, I'm 31 now. If I could go back 3 years when I was thinking about getting into the real estate space and almost swap all the time that I put into kind of X's and O's and strategy for just networking, I think it would have been like almost a 5x increase in, or you would say maybe decrease in the time that I spent doing a lot of these things. But I want to talk about something that you mentioned here. 24 years old, navigating these decisions, networking, business partner, right? You have the this art studio that was really your baby, your passion, right? And you're having to make these big decisions. Were there any pivot points when you were going about this where you said, wow, this is really like a make or break moment? Or did you kind of hedge risk in a way?
At 24 years old, I don't think I was thinking of anything but like the worst thing that can happen is that it doesn't work. So for me, it was very low risk because I had nothing to lose per se. Like me as myself, I was not married, I didn't have any children at the time. I found it enjoyable to just take action and see what the next moment would look like. Maybe for some people, obviously with families and things like that, that's way too risky. But for a young person that wants to go at it at the entrepreneur, world, sure, or business world, go for it. So for me, it was just adventure and lots of education and figuring out, if this could even be, like I said, replicable.
Having that proof of concept is an amazing uh, deal. I think for most people, they feel that first kind of rush of, oh, this works, and that's their jet engine fuel. I believe you mentioned you had 7 locations before you sold.
Corporate stores were five
5.
corporate
Okay.
stores. And then, we sold another five agreements, of which I believe two or three were open. But then at the time that I left the organization, they had nearly 10 total.
And so walk me through chronologically time point you started the business to the time point you had just that second store.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Started in 2011, literally with $900 in my pocket. I had no idea what I was going to get myself into. And 2 years after that, I had my second location. So in between the first location to the second store, I moved twice because I grew so quickly in that first year with the the offering. I was doing free classes essentially because nobody knew who I was, nobody knew anything about the brand or the name,
Yeah.
and that's how I got people excited to trust us that we would give their kids a good service in their after school activities. And so that blew up, just, you know, service free, check us out, come in and just have a nice time, an hour of an art class. And within the year, I had to move my store to a bigger spot because it was just too many students that the space could not handle. So from that moment, I realized, okay, well, we have something special, and we can definitely, replicate this and build more local locations to see if it could withstand, the possibility of even considering this to be a franchise. So it took me about 4 years to get everything down to its science. And then on, I guess, year 4 was when I decided, okay, sure, this seems to be okay to franchise now that we've, done it ourselves through trial and error and figured it out.
So would you say that that's pretty typical for people? And I'm sure every case is different, but when people are looking at possibly franchising their business, that they open up a few locations that they personally manage themselves, and then they have maybe outside investors or interested parties come in and say, hey, we see what you're doing here. Have you ever thought about franchising?
Absolutely. I think the longer you can be a corporate and like a, corporately owned, like yourself owning it yourself, the better, because then you have proof, you have data, you have, seasonality. You can tell, okay, this is the period where things are going to drop off, or here's where how we pivot and adjust. You have lots of data to understand if your business is going to be, like they say, a hero or a zero.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you have lots of that to or proof, to be able to grow it, and also to come to tell the audience, hey, I actually have a product that you might be interested in investing. So the longer that you have it, the better, because from my experience, I could not sell something or promote something that I knew was not going to be, successful, and in 6 months on the road, somebody's going to be complaining that the numbers don't make sense.
So pivoting a bit here. So you scaled this business, is your baby, you get the franchise, it must be a huge win, right? And then you ended up selling the business, right? So
Mhm.
many people, like, those are two distinct and huge victories, the franchise and then the selling. Having not sold a business myself, but having owning a business, but also hearing about other people who own businesses and are looking to sell them, that kind of high, and also the relief of selling, is like no other. So walk us through kind of the journey of selling the business once you had franchised it and had grown to a certain degree.
So, selling was entirely kind of like a bittersweet experience for me. Of course, being the founder, because that's what I would consider myself to be at the time, the founder, the creator of that baby, or of that business, was emotional, seeing it from very, very humble beginnings to what it was at its peak. I would say that the experience was somewhat emotional, but also a relief, because now someone else can then give it more love than I could have, simply because resources and I would say resources, money, time is so important for even bettering of systems, which I didn't have. So at that point where I realized, if I'm not able to give my franchisees the ultimate most support and the best sort of I would say the best interaction and best everything that I can possibly give, then what am I doing here? Like I would not feel comfortable continuing to promote or sell a business that I don't have the bandwidth for, or stretching myself so thin that I'm not going to be able to meet the request or the
Yeah.
metrics that people are looking for. So I thought it was a prudent time to sell at the time that I had the opportunity to sell, because I knew that the next company that bought this business was going to do even better of a job than I could with the resources that I had at the time. So I felt a relief in that sense, to be able to give an opportunity to somebody with more knowledge, more money, more resources, to acquire my business so then they can do better.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
It's really amazing hearing this story, because I haven't spoken to someone who their business was so, I guess, personal to them. Like, it's a passion project. You like art,
Mhm.
right? Many people that I've spoken to people who've sold car dealerships. I've spoken to people who've sold, real estate, uh, tech related services, and etc. And yeah, this could be someone's, baby too, but this is a different thing when you're talking about the arts, right? And your personal passion for it. And it's very apparent in talking to you just how deeply you cared about that business.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, coming out of an art school, realizing that, I wasn't going to make a living with the paintings that I created, because let's be honest, there's a million people that have immense amounts of talent out there. It was a non-negotiable for me, and it was easy for me to realize, I can serve the community, I can also make a decent living, and I can, eventually employ local artists as well, because at the time is, and it's still hard as an artist to be able to make a living for yourself if you're not constantly selling your pieces every single day, you know?
Let's pivot a bit here, Leslie, and let's talk about Homevestors. Let's talk about this. And I'm familiar with this kind of tangentially. I've heard people say the term, and I'm kind of aware that, okay, this is an actor in the real estate space. But what does Homevestors do?
So, Homevestors is a franchise real estate investing concept. They buy houses, they fix houses and sell them. Typically, the houses that they acquire are in disrepair, so houses that need a lot of work. And so the people that we serve are sellers that are looking to get out of a rough patch of their life. It could be a house that they inherited recently. It could be a house that that they really don't want. Maybe it's a hoarded house. Maybe it's a house that, just requires a lot of TLC, and they're calling us for help and a lifeline. And so these individuals reach out to us through the advertising that we do, and they opt in to our 800 number and call us directly for some assistance. And that's what we do.
And so you're offering them basically a cash offer and a way for them to get out from underneath the problem. But then you're also working with investors to find properties that meet their needs as well.
So all the franchises that we have are individually owned and operated. So they're operated by franchise owners. So the corporation, it's Homevestors, but everything else as far as the locations, let's say in Kansas City and Fort Lauderdale, wherever, all over these cities in the country, they're owned by franchisees, regular people just like you and me, small business owners. And so they're the ones that are boots on the ground, locally owned, locally operated, and helping those communities thrive through the work that they do.
And so your role over at Homevestors is finding more individuals who'd like to have a franchise, a Homevestors franchise.
Correct. So my role is to help people find options if they are looking for an opportunity in business, whether it is a franchise business, or maybe they're interested in real estate, and kind of giving them that option as it pertains to real estate investing. And typically, the individuals that we help, it could be people coming out of corporate America. Maybe they're getting ready to retire, or maybe they want something different and something a little bit more meaningful to do, and that is, wanting to help people.
And so is owning a Homevestors franchise, is this going to be something where they need to have a real estate background, or do you see lots of different avatars of individual who might be interested in this?
Sure. The avatar really, you don't have to have a real estate background. If you are willing to, follow a process, a recipe to make that beautiful, delicious cake at the end, then that's what we want. Someone that has an open mind, that is willing to follow a process, that doesn't want to reinvent the wheel, and that is willing to follow that blueprint. So you don't have to have real estate license. You don't need to be a realtor. You don't need to have any kind of background in real estate whatsoever, because we will teach you with the tools and the resources that Homevestors provides. You'll have a coach or a mentor from day one. Whether you have zero experience or 25 years in the business, you'll still have your coach to access any information or whatever case you need for the business.
I'm thinking about the businesses that I've been a part of in the real estate space, and I guess having the opportunity to be a franchise owner while also participating in real estate is a huge win-win. Because I think about myself as when I was working for a big box wholesale dispositions company, right? Not really seeing all sides of the game. And I'm thinking, man, if I would have had the capital to invest in a Homevestors franchise, I could have taught myself the game from people who are operating at the highest level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what I would say joining a network or a franchise could do for someone that might want to avoid having to figure all those nuances out themselves. Is, what a relief is to have maybe an on speed dial advisor, or what a relief is to have a marketing engine that's constantly generating leads for you while you sleep. You don't have to door knock, you don't have to cold call, you don't have to do any of that. You just have the brand that has been around for nearly 3 decades doing that for you. And in addition to that, you have all the financing behind the franchise, the programs to buy these houses and fix them. So if you're looking to kind of save yourself some time, of course, real estate investing, anyone can do this on their own. That's a fact. But if you want to maybe save yourself the time, save yourself some of the potholes that you might come across, then, this could be an option to consider, that saves you a little bit more work than you have to do.
Leslie, we are coming up on time here. Where can
Mhm.
folks go to get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn all day long. I love that platform. You can search Leslie Harden, Lesley, because that's a little different spelling. And yeah, I'm on that platform. If you want to jump on a Calendly one-on-one and learn more, that's the best way to reach me is on that specific social media platform, Dylan.
Leslie, thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
Absolutely, Dylan. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.